Well, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to District 43. This is how we do it. This is a panel discussion with our club sponsors for this new year. We are delighted to have you join us tonight for our monthly Members Matter monthly meetup for March, where we're paying homage to our club sponsors this year. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce all of our panelists for you today. We have Toastmaster Craig Noonmaker from Division A, and he has started or aided in forming a club this year, Kingdom Toastmasters. We'll hear more from him later. We have DTM Rhonda Maddox from Division B, who has aided in starting 3 clubs this year so far, with many more in the pipeline. And we'll talk to her soon about that. We also have Rebecca Shelton with us from Division C. And Rebecca is forming a club at Lemoyne-Owen College, where the paperwork is being submitted by the end of this week. And I'm excited to have her join and talk about her journey and what she's doing this year. We also have Distinguished Toastmaster Verkeitha Harris with us this evening, Division E Director, that aided in starting 1 club in her division, but a 2nd club in her division as well came out of her club that she started this year, DTM Verkeitha Harris. We have soon to be DTM Toastmaster Ruby Lamori with us, all the way from Florida. But she chartered a club here in District 43. This is how we do it. Chartering clubs all over in District 43. We're happy to have her here with us this evening. And with no further ado, I would like to go ahead and get started. I am Jackie Hauser, Club Growth Director with District 43, and I am excited you're joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to call on our panelists one at a time and ask them a few questions. It was very important this year that the club growth community developed some sort of strategy or process for club building. We wanted it to be fun. We wanted it to seem easy, but we all know it's not easy. But we wanted there to be some reason for members to want to or desire to start a club. There were 3 things that stuck out and stood out for us in club building. Number 1, narrowing your focus, defining your niche, and targeting a particular group of people or company to start a club. Number 2, utilizing your network. There's power in using your network and the resources that you have available to you. And last but certainly not least is following up. Follow up is the key to everything. And those 3 pillars, that was the formula that we used in District 43 for a successful year with club building and club chartering. I'd like to start with Toastmaster Rhonda Maddox, Distinguished Toastmaster Rhonda Maddox. I would love for her to tell us her formula and how she used these 3 pillars this year to start not 1, not 2, but 3 clubs to date, with several more in the pipeline. Toastmaster Maddox.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackie Hauser. I have a formula that I call growth, and I will share with you that acronym. And it is G is for go to your circle of influence and actively listen. R is for really tune into their pain points, recognize what they are. The O is for offer them opportunities for Toastmasters to meet and be a solution to those pain points. W is wow them with a Toastmasters meeting, a demonstration meeting that you have your seasoned Toastmasters present, active in those roles. T is talk up Toastmasters, tell them about what Toastmasters has done for you. H is for hand them off to your amazing, lovable, knowledgeable club growth director, Jackie Hauser, so that she can answer the questions that they have. And it's simple as that.
Look, I am waiting for more. You told growth. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the different components in growth. Give us more, DTM.
Are you talking to me? Okay.
Yes.
So for me, I have a Toastmaster speech that I give, and it's called I See Toastmasters. I see Toastmasters everywhere I go. When I'm looking at people, I'm listening to their pain points. And if they are a seasoned executive, then I realize these are people who likely have to deliver speeches, they have to provide evaluations. And I listen to what it is that they are uncomfortable doing. If it is delivering evaluations, then I talk to them about the third component of our Toastmasters meeting, and that is evaluations. If it's delivering prepared speeches, then I talk to them about the prepared speeches. But here's the thing, I realize that fear of public speaking is people's number one fear, one of their number one fears. So I don't always try to sell Toastmasters with, you get to learn how to speak publicly. Many times I sell Toastmasters on the table topics part, because when you answer the phone, in essence, you're participating in a table topics component. When you have a conversation with the lady at the grocery store, you're participating in a table topic conversation. As a parent, I tell them about my experience with Toastmasters. I joined to learn how to prepare a speech. I stayed because of the network. The other piece, though, is I grew because of the evaluations. One of our national speakers national winners came and talked about feedback being the breakfast of champions. It's not just the breakfast of champions. It's what mothers need to do. It's what wives and partners need to do. So the feedback part, the learning how to have difficult conversations, very difficult conversations, that is what has saved my marriage. And it's what has made me a much better parent. A lot of times people develop ulcers and migraines and all kinds of things because they are sitting on their emotions and not having difficult conversations. The evaluations part of Toastmasters teaches you how to do just that, have a challenging conversation. Start with what they're doing wonderfully well. The meat of the sandwich part, the bread, offer opportunities for your observations about what you notice that they're doing, and then end with what they're doing well, but you're delivering your evaluations with love. For me, the evaluations piece has been the most impactful part of my life. It wasn't the delivering the prepared speeches, which is what everybody joins for. Now, do you know anyone that cannot benefit from learning how to have an uncomfortable conversation? I don't. Do you know anyone who can't benefit from learning how to feel more comfortable when they answer the phone, when they are talking to, even if they're on the dating scene or the interviewing scene for a job? Table topics. I sell each and every piece of our Toastmasters program to them. I don't lead with the thing that people are most afraid of. I lead with whatever it is they say they need. Thank you, Toastmaster Hauser.
Well, thank you, Toastmaster Maddox. I see now why we have 3 clubs coming from Toastmaster Maddox. Who could say no to Toastmaster Maddox? It seems as if you actually listen to what their needs are and match that to what Toastmasters has. I absolutely love it. Now, we talk about network, use your network as one of our pillars. How did you leverage your network when starting these clubs?
For me as well? Is that for me as well? Oh, I started exactly where I was. I was a member of boards. I talked up Toastmasters to the people that I was on the board with. I talked up Toastmasters to my doctor friends. The niches that the clubs that I started were, number one, with doctors, which I'm a part of, and I talk to them about the evaluation component. Doctors think they can talk. They don't think they necessarily need prepared speeches. So I didn't talk to them about that. I talked to them about their uncomfortable places, which is giving evaluations. And then I started that club. I am really interested in increasing workforce diversity, increasing the number of health professionals in the field who look like me. And so then I went to the medical school because I was an associate professor at a medical school. I also went to the same medical school, and I didn't see a person of color until I was in my second year of medical school. So it's really important for the mentor opportunity for students of color to be able to see other people who look like them. I partnered with my docs who were Toastmasters. I connected the students who were medical students and said, how would you all like to use Toastmasters as the infrastructure to connect? Now, I was a medical student once, so I know we wanted to meet doctors. And the doctors would always say, well, just call me. Well, I wanted to create an opportunity to where they would not have to just call them. They would get to meet them all along the way while they didn't have a need. Afterwards, as they're getting to know each other, then when they need to shadow, when they need to mentor, they don't have to figure it out. They've already developed relationships with and been able to engage those individuals. So I started with my industry, which is medicine, and I built clubs around my industry. Then, because I am a board member on a museum, I talked about Toastmasters and how Toastmasters could help the employees of that museum. It could help them when they are giving tours and visitors ask them an impromptu question. It could help them when they are trying to raise money. They were actively engaged in a capital raising campaign. Who better to talk about how to raise money and do it in a confident way than a person who has been in Toastmasters and nailed that speech? I said, don't limit it to your employees. Go out to the people who have given you money before and offer them free memberships so that they can now learn how to talk up Toastmasters and talk up the museum and get money for you. What nonprofit does not want their employees to be able to talk confidently and raise money for them? I don't know any.
Well, all right, there you have it. You used your network and they were right under your nose. What I'm hearing is these were people and places that were a part of your everyday life. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I'm going to move to Distinguished Toastmaster Verkeitha Harris. I would like for her to talk to us about the club that she's chartered using our 3 pillars: focus, using your network, and following up. Tell us, how did your club come to fruition using those 3 pillars?
Thank you so much, Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Jackie Hauser. When I let me start here. First and foremost, when I became Division Director of Division E, my #1 goal from the very beginning was to charter a Toastmasters Club. I made that my priority. And so I reached out to a few people that I knew that had organizations or companies or corporations, and none seemed interested. And so one day I had this epiphany and I was like, you have a business, you have a company, charter your own club. And so I went on Toastmasters International and I did some research. And so my business is a coaching firm, Launch Life Coaching and Consulting firm. And so that is where our club, Launch Life Coaching Toastmasters Club, was born. So how did I come to actually chartering it? Our club it is made up of coaches from any niche, from any background, as long as you're a coach. And so what I wanted to do was create a space for coaches to be able to network, to glean, to grow one from another. One thing that I understand about coaches is that we're out here and we're coaching and we're leading others, and we're helping individuals. But once you actually complete a coaching program, that's basically all the training that you get. But where do you continue professional development in that particular field? How do you continue to grow, to develop and evolve as a coach? And so my thing was providing that space for coaches to be able to glean, to grow, and to network one from another. So I'm a member of the John Maxwell team. I'm a certified John Maxwell coach. And I remembered that on our platform, there's a database with every single John Maxwell coach in the world. And so what I did, I accessed that database and I sent out an email to coaches and found which coaches would be interested. And so majority of my majority of the members that made up the club and helped the club charter, they came from there. And then there is a Facebook group that I'm in for coaches. And so I put messages out there, and some coaches came from that group as well. And so that is how our club came to be. And that is how I use my network in order to help me charter this club.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd like for you to expound on follow-up, because I remember that process. I remember working with you in this particular space. And can you speak to the importance of follow-up and how that helped with the formation of your club?
Absolutely. So one thing I must profess and put out there about myself, I'm very aggressive when it comes down to accomplishing goals. I'm very competitive. And so when it comes down to follow-up, I believe in staying abreast. I believe in staying out there. I believe in staying on top of things. You know, I don't believe in allowing things to just lay out there and just linger on. When you want something done, you're trying to accomplish something, I believe staying on top of it, following up every 2 or 3 days. I think that is so important, because we're all people. We live busy lives and we get sidetracked. We have work, careers, we have family, we have businesses. You know, there's so many things that can distract us, and we have good intentions and we intend to follow through with things, but sometimes we just simply get distracted. And so therefore we have to be mindful, not just per se of what it is that we want to accomplish, because we don't want to be selfish, but at the same time, we want to make sure that what we're offering to others, you know, it's presented to them in such a way that if it truly has value, let me say it this way, if it truly has value, you don't want to undermine or take away the possibility of being able to add that value to the lives of individuals by not following up with them. And so you want to make sure that they understand the value of what it is that you're offering and what it is that you're presenting to them. And so that is why follow-up is so very important.
Thank you, Toastmaster Harris. Thank you so much for your efforts as Division E Director, as a new club sponsor, and everything that you're doing in leadership right now. I'd like to move now to Toastmaster Rebecca Shelton. Let's talk with Toastmaster Rebecca Shelton. Now, she has a very unique story. Well, I'm not going to say it's unique, but it's exciting. Toastmaster Rebecca Shelton's club is about to charter. It hasn't chartered yet, so it will be club number 8 for District 43 once her paperwork is actually processed. But I thought it was great to have her on this panel and in this discussion today, because I wanted her to speak to these 3 pillars as she's walking through and completing this process of chartering the club right now as is. Toastmaster Rebecca Shelton.
Thank you so much for having me, Toastmaster Jackie Hauser. You have been very helpful and so supportive during this whole process. We would not be chartering if you weren't there to back us up. Well, as she said in the introductions, I work at the library at Lemoyne-Owen College here in Memphis. And I only started there recently, this past June, but realized fairly quickly that we didn't have a program for students to work on public speaking skills that was not a class, which could affect their GPA and potentially scholarships and all these sorts of things. So I wanted to create that safe space for them. And I had this naive idea that it wouldn't be that difficult. But as we got the word out there, I really had to expand my network quickly. I hadn't been at the college that long, but because we were a small community, I've been able to create those inroads pretty effectively. But then I found it's very simple to get someone to say, oh, yes, Toastmasters, that would be helpful in my life. And it's quite another thing to get them to completely follow through with that and fill out the registration and promise that, yes, I will be a dues paying member and I will participate in this. And it was the follow-up that I really had to work on. I am not like Toastmaster Harris. I'm not that aggressive. In fact, I work in a library. I'm a little shy. And there were times that I felt rather annoying with my emails. But I got myself a spreadsheet and I tracked when I had last contacted people and found that it was the individual emails, not catching them at their office, not a full email blast, not something posted in the group team, but the individual emails. Hi, Brittany. Dear Dr. So-and-so, please fill this out for me and confirm that you want to commit. And eventually it was that got us to the numbers that we needed.
I am excited. I'm excited to work with you because right now, as it stands, 26 charter members for LeMoyne-Owen College, and that is a college campus. For District 43 and college campuses, we historically, Toastmasters clubs on college campuses in District 43, it's been a little rocky, but Rebecca took a different approach with how the funding would happen and the accountability as well. But the follow-up is what I watched her do. I watched her focus in on a LeMoyne-Owen affiliates only. It's a closed club restricted for LeMoyne-Owen affiliates only. And once she narrowed her scope and her focus, she then went into her network and she talked about her network being limited, but that follow up and follow through. I remember a conversation where I heard it in her voice, well, we're only at 11 right now, and I'm just not certain which direction to go. And I said, follow up with each one of them and see what happens. And in 2 days, her numbers had doubled in 2 days because of the follow-up. So I am excited to watch her and watch this club come to fruition as the 8th club to charter in District 43. So congratulations to Rebecca, and keep a watch on that Hollis Price Library Toastmasters as it hits the dashboard. Now I'd like to talk with Toastmaster Ruby Lamourie. Ruby Lamourie this is a unique situation for District 43 because Toastmaster Lamourie lives in Florida. But because of the pandemic, this is one beautiful thing that has come from the pandemic. It has allowed us the opportunity to actually talk to, reach people and charter clubs in District 43 that are online. So Toastmaster Lamourie, tell us how you use the 3 pillars to charter your club in District 43. You are muted.
Actually, I started because Toastmaster Harris, as she was stating, made one of those posts in a group at the time that I was starting to look, because I had just started Toastmasters in a local club when COVID hit and we got shut down. So when hers came up, I was back to that point that I knew that this is what I needed to do. And so joining that put me already from Florida into a group that was in Mississippi. And then when I decided to charter, I went back and forth in my mind just a little bit about whether I wanted to come back to the Florida district, but I was already speaking at so many of the other clubs that I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to stay here. This felt like home. And so that's what I did. And my niche developed very quickly because I have hold several certifications. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a yoga instructor. I have a couple of different health and detox certifications. And one of the greatest things that I see is this whole awakening process and women wanting to feel empowered. So Empowering Ladies was the title of the club, and that certified itself as the niche in and of itself, and really didn't have people asking what was the group going to be about. They saw Toastmasters and they saw Empowering Ladies, and we utilized our network. I had about 4 to 6 women that from the very beginning wanted to do this club with me. And so as we were struggling a little bit with the membership, and it really wasn't that we were working on it, it was really that we weren't working on it, and that's where the struggle was. But I said, okay, if we're going to do this, I don't want to be holding everybody's hand. This is what we need to do. We need to find ladies that are motivated, want to be here. And I need everybody to, you know, invite, share a post. We started doing basically a mock meeting where we were just bringing people in and talking about it. So guests could come and we were getting the information out. And what ended up happening, we made 2 of our people made a major post that got a lot of interaction. The first one, I call it a fail because we were getting the interaction, but the girl that was getting it didn't have time to connect with the people. And so she was throwing the names at me. And therefore these people didn't know me and weren't connected on our Facebook or the post. And so these people were getting missed. And we actually lost some of those people. Probably the better majority of those people. Another person made a post, professional. She was actually a DTM in Toastmasters. And when she did, she instantly pulled out that spreadsheet because she was blown away by the large number of interest, 60 some people that I'm aware of. And so she got them onto a spreadsheet. She flipped it to me. We set up an email thing and sent out the blast, sent out the application. And within days, our numbers changed from struggling to we passed the 21 marker. But before we could do chartering, I ended up with 32 paid interested members. We came out of charter. By the time we got our official status and certifications, we were at 38 people. And we've added another one today. So, and follow up, yep, absolutely. Just as Rebecca was saying, a lot of the emails get lost. The one-on-one, whether it was text messages or individual emails or Facebook messages, that's how we connected with a lot of them. It was a lot of work. There's a lot of things that I have learned that in the next round with the next sponsored club will be much cleaner and much faster and much easier with fewer people lost.
All right, I absolutely love it. Now, something that you said was utilizing the network. And as you were telling your story, what I heard was the members in the club, one person put out a post. And then from that post, you gain one person that put out a subsequent post. So basically what I hear you saying is you used your network and your network used her network and your network's network used her network to yield all of these people that were interested in Toastmasters.
Yes, and what is happening now, we have several members who are wanting to start inviting. So gosh only knows where this club is going. It is an international club. And I love to say this because we have a young lady from Ethiopia. She is now, since our time change, she gets up at 2:30 a.m. to be on our meetings. She's 20 years old. And then we have another one from Honduras, and we're waiting on one to clear her schedule from Canada. So it's a very diverse group of very empowered women. And so when I say that the niche explained itself, this is far bigger than what I imagined. But yet when I made that decision from struggle to saying, no, we want women who are empowered and want to be here. Once that clarified in my head, what happened after that, that is exactly what we got. And I am just so excited. I get on the calls and we're trying to sometimes go through the process and I'm just mesmerized by the way these people are speaking or things that are happening. I completely lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just so good.
Well, it sounds like an awesome club and it sounds relational. And that's one of the things that we talk about in Toastmasters is the relationships.
Yes.
Bringing people, having each one bring one. So building that relationship, that rapport, that social network, utilizing the network, even when you're in Toastmasters. So congratulations to you and keep up the good work. I look forward to seeing the club flourish. And now we're going to talk to Toastmaster Craig Noonmaker and Toastmaster Dewey McGard. They co-sponsored a club in Division A, Kingdom Toastmasters. And the pillars that we are we are working on, or we're representing, defining your niche, utilizing your network, and following up. I'd like to start with Toastmaster Newmaker, and I'd like for you to describe for us your prescription for your new club, Kingdom Toastmasters.
So I really take it back to, you have to have a vision for whatever you're doing. You know, the high performance leadership manual that we go through is very important, and it defines that. And having that vision set us up for a really focused niche market, which was, we wanted to build a Christian Toastmasters club. You know, something that we really wanted to do. We felt empowered to do it, and God was with us. You know, so as we defined that niche, you know, once I got that defined and clearly set out, my network, my circle of friends, that I'm going to say my circle of power, i.e. Dewey, Adrian, you know, Craig Gerard, the whole power group that I have following around me, because they say surround yourself with people that are better than you, right? They got into action. They got on board really fast. Yeah, it didn't take them long to set it up for us to get on board. Dewey's sister came with the idea for the name, clearly define who we are, and make sure anybody knew that this was a Christian Toastmaster Club. We utilized church resources because we're sponsored by, I got approved by the church, so I sold the idea of the church. So we got approved by the church. I'll utilize those resources to reach out to those networks. And a lot of our recruiting came from one of the groups there for the blind. There's a ministry for the blind that the church does. And Dewey could probably give you more about follow up and actual paperwork. I'm a rock star. I just do things, and it just happens after that. So,
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. Toastmaster Magar.
As Craig said, our theme, the plan for our Toastmasters Club was to make it as a church-based club based on Christian principles. We could answer questions about Christian topics, Christian living, Christ, evangelizing, all of those things. Speeches and presentations could be on a Christian theme, and we could help build future leaders that will be instilled with Christian principles. He talked about our sources of new members. We recruited from the First Lutheran Church, as well as the First Care Blind and Visually Impaired Support Group. Pastor Basics sent out emails to all of the churches in the Lutheran Synod in which the First Lutheran Church is connected. They also sent out communications to all of the other churches within a few miles of First Lutheran Church, asking them to put information in their church bulletins and other things to make people aware of our club. As we worked on the club, we have our first meeting in the late August. We were chartered in 3 months with 20 members. As of today, all 20 charter members have paid their April dues, and we've added 2 new members whose April dues are also paid. We've got 6 DCB points to date and expect to be President's Distinguished by June. Those who attended the club, we put them on an email list so that we could talk to them to make sure that we understood what their plans and goals were for their life, so we could show them how Toastmasters could meet those goals.
All right. Well, that's a perfect prescription. It sounds like you laid it out, all of the ingredients and what you did, and outlined how you brought Kingdom Toastmasters to fruition. I love the niche, our 3 pillars. Define your focus, narrow your focus. You defined who you were targeting and who you wanted to, or who you wanted in this particular club, all the way down to the location. Then you used your network. You described how you went around to different churches outside of that particular church to find people within that niche, and then following up. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, you have heard it from the sponsors for this program year. 7 clubs in the books with more to come. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Toastmaster, soon to be distinguished Toastmaster, Ron Williams. Ron Williams served as sponsor for a home office lead. We had a home office contact to come through, and Ron raised his hand that he wanted to learn and charter how to sponsor and charter a club. So Ron, would you like to share any thoughts on your journey as a sponsor this year?
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Jackie Hauser. Yes, it is a great experience, especially when you meet in the demo meetings and you show people the benefits of Toastmasters. And with this particular club, tying Toastmasters into how it could make them better supervisors, better managers and leaders on their jobs, it sold them from the jump. And following up, as each of you all said, following up with them, because sometimes storms came, got a little rough. Be there to encourage them that, hey, it's just turbulence, just fly a little higher to get above the turbulence. It's something that I learned in sponsorship, and just something I just want just to add that I learned, and thank you for that opportunity, and look forward to charting more in the future.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Toastmaster Ron Williams. One of the things that we also looked at, and that's prevalent in District 43, the majority, well, let me just say that of the 7 clubs that have chartered and the one that is in progress are online, with the exception of one. Kingdom Toastmasters is in person only. That is the only club that's in person. Now, that is really important to note, because Toastmasters, our program has traditionally been face-to-face, but because of the pandemic, we were somewhat forced into the virtual space. So these clubs were chartered as online clubs, hence the reason we were able to gain Toastmaster Ruby Lamori from Florida. But Kingdom Toastmasters, in the midst of walking through and coming out and stepping out of the pandemic, chartered as an online club. So that is important to note, that that was also a part of their niche, that it was an in-person club only. So that too can aid and help bring in people who really wanted to be in person versus online. So I'd like to commend all of our sponsors. And for those of you who are interested in sponsoring a club, we have 3 months left in this program year. There are a lot of people in this world that want or need Toastmasters. I challenge you, fellow Toastmasters, to charter a club. Think about who you would like to start a club with, or where you would like to start a club. Narrow your focus, define your niche. Leverage your network and follow up, and let's see what happens by June 30th. At this time, I would like to ask if there are any questions. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. For our chat monitors, Distinguished Toastmaster, our Program Quality Director, Lou Zong, and Distinguished Toastmaster Cynthia Bardwell, serving as our chat monitors today. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. If not, feel free to raise your virtual hand, and our panelists can answer any questions that you may have about starting clubs or challenges or some lessons learned during starting these clubs. Anyone out there with a question or comment? Toastmaster Mary Torno, unmute yourself, please.
Ever since I was given the title of area director down on 43, my first thought was we need to have a new club. Even though there were 4 clubs, I needed to assist and find people to assist me in getting their numbers built. I still have this inner desire, and after hearing all this hoopla about how you can start a new club, I want to focus in on Hot Springs. And I know Nancy Britton is from their area. I visited Hot Springs several times, and I think this community is huge, unending. There's the gardens, and I think of all their volunteers, and I think, well, where's the seed out there? Where's the rock that needs to get out of? Then I think of all the business owners. I come from a community where our business owners formed a communication group. And I go, who can help me? What can I do? Because it needs to happen. And even if it doesn't happen by June 30th, it can always just happen when it happens. How can we move the rocks and go forward and take some of these lessons we learned tonight with follow-up? I'd like to know who's a good contact. I know Nancy knows several people, but I'm looking for someone who probably isn't even known at this point, who has some vibrancy and wants to learn better leadership skills. And I like this impromptu speaking. We're doing impromptu speaking every moment. I especially like the word feedback, because you think of how many creative skills we use, creative thinking skills we use in today's world. You may plan in the morning and by noon, you've already changed it several times. That's called creative thinking, folks. That means you listen and you give feedback to the needs of people. Any thoughts? Give me some direction, please.
That is an awesome question, and I have a lot of ideas circling in my head. If you all have anything, put it in the chat so that we can make sure we get this transcription to DTM Mary Torno. But first and foremost, Toastmaster Torno, I will tell you, you have already defined your niche. You've defined where you want to be. You know that there are a couple of people in Hot Springs. So we have already gotten past the first hurdle in defining who your market is and where you want it to be. Now we move to utilizing the network. So let's find people in Hot Springs and let's tap into their network. Once we tap into their network and get the ball rolling, we'll start following up to then close your club. So that's what comes to mind initially off the top of my head. And I can reach out to you offline and we can put a strategic plan together for you to charter your club in Hot Springs. It will come to pass. So I am so excited. I'm excited to hear it, and I'm excited to watch it grow.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackie.
You are so welcome. Distinguished Toastmaster Rhonda Maddox, you have your hand raised.
Thank you. Toastmaster Torno, I would also say you are in Advanced Toastmaster Central Arkansas with our division director, Carrie Shilcutt. When I started thinking about starting my first club, I reached out to him. He encouraged me to reach out to Club Growth Director Hauser. And when I tell you, reaching out to the both of them was instrumental for me, because Club Growth Hauser does not know anything about the word no. So any objection that anyone gave me, she gave me a rebuttal. The other piece, as we're talking about using your network, understand that there are some people that you know well, but there's some people that you don't know well that you would do really well. Case in point, Distinguished Toastmaster Rakitha Harris. I didn't know her. I only met her when I was doing chat master for her while she was delivering a presentation. I respected what she was talking about. When she was about to open a club, she'd only met me maybe once or twice. She reached out to me, told me about that. I am now a part of a club in Mississippi. I don't live in Mississippi. I've attended Club Growth Director Hauser's clubs in Memphis. I don't live in Memphis. You'll have a lot of people who are saying to you, hey, everybody's tired of having these virtual things. They want to be in person. Bah humbug. Don't believe that. Listen, we want to feel connected. As a person, you might reach out to people who are retired, who don't have families in the area, and say, hey, we're going to connect virtually so that we can keep you safe. Or if you want to be in person, tell them that as well. Now, that's not what I raised my hand for, but I just thought I'd throw that in there. Okay.
Appreciate your
But I will say I have everybody that I know on here that I've met, that I knew they were sponsoring the club, from Toastmaster Ruby to Toastmaster Rakitha. I have attended their meetings, and the power of an amazing demo meeting that we call launch meeting is so important. I was a part of Toastmaster Rakitha. Even though I thought we had our stuff together, while I was at her meetings, I learned about the power of the script. And she has everything. When I went to Toastmaster Ruby's meeting, she had an amazing timer. Each time I went to these demo meetings that were being hosted and were being put on by people who were great in their field, we were really careful to say, listen, we're growing together. You don't have to be perfect, because people will see it done really well and think, oh my gosh, I can't do this. You be sure to say, not we're critiquing you, we're growing together. There are times we're going to make mistakes and we're going to learn from them. That way you don't intimidate them with a dynamic meeting, which can happen. And so you'll have people say, no, I don't want you to make a great meeting, because then they won't think they can live up to it. Don't worry about that. Tell them from day one, we're growing together. Use the people on this screen, and certainly use Toastmaster Hauser. First club, I didn't pay too much attention to her. I did my own thing, and it took a while. I had a club. I was on with a person who said they were interested in starting a club at 10 p.m. at night. I sent Toastmaster Hauser a response, a text message saying, can you meet tomorrow? And she said, yes. We had that club chartered in a week.
Oh.
Did we not, Toastmaster Hauser? Am I
And
telling a story?
Toastmaster
one-
Maddox, you're going to be on the demo meeting. No questions asked.
In 1 week, because I learned from Toastmaster Hauser, strike while the iron is hot. Meaning, if they say they're interested, don't schedule them a meeting for 2 weeks from now. You schedule them a meeting in the next 3 days. I learned from Toastmaster Rakitha the power of helping people have scripts so that they're not intimidated to fill a meeting role. I learned from Toastmaster Ruby about the timer. When you go to these meetings, learn from them. We don't know everything. Be humble, learn from the people who are on this call.
Got it. You will be there at the demo meeting.
Toastmaster Ruby, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a comment on that because she said something about there's already several clubs basically in the area. And I feel there can never be too many clubs because that niche part makes every club different and unique. And the last few years, the isolation and the separation, people are really looking for this something to do. Now, they may still have plenty of things on their to-do list, but they are looking for this connection. I've heard it in our club. And then this past week, I went and did a speech for a women's spiritual retreat. And these women were just dying for the connection of being with other women again. So people are really wanting this camaraderie again. So definitely go for the club. It'll be awesome.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Ruby. Are there any other comments or questions that we have from our members in the gallery? Well, if not, I am excited. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening to speak with the new club sponsors and hear what they did, how they did it, and learn what we're doing in District 43. I thank you so much for your presence here this evening. And District 43 is all of Arkansas, West Tennessee, and Central Mississippi. With that, our District Director, Toastmaster Lillian West is here. Is there anything you'd like to share with us before we adjourn, Toastmaster West?
Of course, Jackie. I may have been late and I just came in, but to hear Toastmaster Maddox on fire, I hope that puts something up under each and every one of you. Because Rhonda just gave you all the secrets of starting a club, the secrets of having a club, and I'm sure everyone else that was on this panel had some of the very same things to say. And with those words, it makes us all want to work harder at having what we already have, a good, a great, a wonderful, but we want to have an even better district because we're united, and it shows for all of the people who have started a club to come here and to share their wealth of what it took for them to get a club. It shows that each and every one of us can do the same, or help someone. So District 43, I'm proud of us. And I'm proud of each and every one of you all that are on the panel, and each and every one of you all that took the time to come out tonight to hear what it takes to start a club. I now return the control to you, Club Growth Director Jackie Hauser.
Thank you so much, District Director West. And while you were speaking, the chat was on fire. DTM Bartwell, tell us what's happening in the chat.
Yes, Club Growth Director, the gallery is on fire. We have the people in the gallery saying me too, and Club 2 and Club 4. Who else? Step up. You are not alone. I have 3 clubs in the pipeline. Way to go. Hoo-hoo, go Harris. Ain't no stopping us now. Way to go, District 43. Feel the surge. Elburst Mason, DTM Capital City Toastmaster. So we are on fire and excited.
All right, this is amazing to hear that we have more clubs in the pipeline coming to fruition. We set a goal at the beginning of the year in District 43 for 12 new clubs this year. And again, we are 7 on the board, paperwork processing for the 8th, and several more in the pipeline. I know I see the 12 that we set our goal for at the beginning of this year. And we're all in this together. This is not a one-man show or a one-woman show. This is not just a Club Growth Team show. This is all District 43. And with that, I would be remiss if I did not introduce my Club Growth Extension Chair, who is on the line tonight. He is here in the gallery. Soon to be Toastmaster, DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster Tom Davenport. Is there anything you would like to say?
I just want to thank Jackie for all the work that she's done. And I want to thank everyone that gave their opinion and gave us their knowledge tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. Tom has been my right hand. Tom has been there from the very beginning with the marketing plan, from the demo meetings, and making sure that we are following up. He has been right there, my right hand. I thank you, Tom, for all the work that you have done this year as Club Growth Extension Chair. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to give you your evening back, and thank you for those of you who are tuning in to hear how we do it in District 43. You heard it firsthand. This is how we do it in District 43.